Hi, Statesmen Nation. We are here with Luke Bentley, head men's volleyball coach here at William Penn, as we preview the 25 season here. Coach, we were just saying this as before we got on. This will be the first year that we are without the team that doesn't have an Ike Papes or a Matt Helmick on it, so it'll be interesting. But we're going to talk about that team in a second. Let's talk about the team that did have Mr. Papes and Mr. Figge and Mr. Helmick and et cetera, and had the best run in school history getting to the semifinals last year. So let's recap 24.
Yeah, like you said, best team we've ever had on paper, best results. So not much bad to say. It's a great time to recap. Anytime we get to talk about it is exciting. We capped off the year by being 2 points away from basically going to a national championship game. So pretty hard to beat that. The biggest thing that I can say about last year was just a culmination of 5 years of hard work from, like you talked about, guys that have been with us since day one, guys that have been with us since the second year. So to see that kind of end the way it ended with the regular season conference championship, with an opportunity to go to the national tournament, and then again advancing to the national semifinals, all those things were just very rewarding in a lot of ways for the guys. So really pleased with how last year finished. And we're going to talk about this in a second, I'm sure, but the result of all that was we lost a lot of players that graduated, which is exactly what you wanted. These guys had great careers, extremely exciting for them to move on to the next phase of their life, but Statesman Nation will see a lot of new faces, and so we are experiencing, I've been calling it a new era of men's volleyball the last couple months here, so that's what we're looking forward to coming up. But yeah, last year was as exciting of a year as we could have had, and just extremely proud of that 24 team and all the guys that were able to do that.
Yeah, let's talk about in the off season. I mean, obviously it wasn't just once the season got over, you started recruiting. I mean, you knew that these guys were going to be departing, so you had to hit the recruiting trail hard and try to replace them in any way possible, I guess. So let's talk about what you were looking for in future statesmen that were going to be part of this new era.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing, we weren't trying to, I always think of, if anyone's a baseball fan and seen the movie Moneyball, I always think of the lines they talk about replacing the studs on the team. We're replacing them in the aggregate.
Yeah. I was going to use the exact wording too, because I knew you knew that.
We're both baseball fans, so. Yeah. But let's really just call a spade a spade. We're not going to replace Landon Krause. That just is what it is when you're the National Player of the Year, three-time All-American. Those are just things that are hard. So we were looking for guys that we thought could contribute in different ways, and guys that we could build the program around, just we did 5 years ago. So we were looking at the right fit, athletic guys we could develop, guys that wanted to be a part of our program, things like that. And then of course we were filling spaces. We were missing bodies in the middle. Basically in every position, outside, right side, really libero is the only thing we really didn't lose a lot of. We were trying to find right fits in those positions and look for guys that we thought could continue to not be those same people, but be like them in other ways. Be other versions of those guys that we've had in the future, so we can continue to move forward.
Yeah. Let's break down that position by position. Start with the outside hitters.
Yeah, we mentioned a couple names already. So lost Ike Papes, five-year guy. Devin Zavala, another starter last year. So the outside is going to be brand new for people. It's probably going to be a combination of Ben Castillo and Sam Spotty, who both are returners, just didn't get on the court as much. And those guys have been working their butts off to earn this spot. So excited to give them a chance to see what that looks like. And the rest of the group is very young and very inexperienced, but very excited and eager. So we got a couple freshmen in there. Tommy Fellows is a good one that will probably see playing time. Fisher Paulson, another one that's in there. So we got a couple guys that I think could develop in terms of the future. But I'd say Ben and Sam are probably the two that people are going to see the most. Yeah.
Sure. Moving right over, let's talk about the middles.
Yeah, the biggest returner that we have is Britton Bialis, All-American last year, who will be a junior for us. So he returns, an exciting player, had a great breakout sophomore year. And then we have basically a gap that is a tough gap to fill with Charlie Figge. And so we are looking at a couple of different guys, two freshmen, Bryson Zer and Ben Brinkman, and then the sophomores, Luca DeYoung, who was with us last year. So we will kind of see what that looks like. but some big size, both guys 6'7" freshmen to kind of fill in that void from Charlie. So yeah, we'll kind of see what that looks like, but all three pretty promising young guys.
Yep. Right side.
Yeah, like we said, Landon Crosby, the big gap there. So trying to replace that. We're looking at a whole group of guys that I think could be really exciting. The main two would be Chase Aguirre and Will Tyler, two freshmen. Chase from Canada, Will from Nebraska. Athletic, strong, physical kids. And then from there, Josh Bloom, another freshman. So really three freshmen off the bat, who's a Chicago suburbs guy. Big 6'7" lefty. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of guys here that'll battle it out to kind of fill those shoes, and it'll be an exciting opportunity to see kind of who emerges from that.
Yep. Setter is someone who has, not Matt Helmick, but Cesar did play a lot, so you can talk about at least somebody who's got a lot of playing time as well there.
Yeah, Cesar Pedroso has been with us for 2 years now, so he did get a good amount of playing time in the middle stretch of the year last year when Matt was hurt. Yep. So that's really nice to have a little bit of that experience. So yeah, he's not a new face, but new on the court. And then he'll be flanked by both Brady Zell and Ryan Guzman, true freshmen, that have really worked hard to push him along the way. But yeah, I think Cesar will probably be the main guy setting.
Sure. And then defensively, back row, starts with Joao.
Yeah, Joao Gabriel Filippelli, returner from last year. I thought had a really good freshman campaign, so we look to see him improve as a sophomore. And then again, next to him is Luke Luckfield, who's a true senior, 4-year guy for us. And then Taylor Brumman, freshman from Minnesota, who will probably be the future of that position as well. So yeah, it's a lot of new names and new faces, but a really exciting time, and excited to see kind of what the new group looks like.
For sure. You start just down the road here on the 24th. Let's talk about the non-conference schedule and how that's going to prepare you for, we say this all the time, but outside of men's soccer, I'd say that men's volleyball is probably the toughest, the hardest, by far the toughest sport.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, men's volleyball and the hardest, the toughest sport.
Right. Yeah, so the non-conference is going to look different than last year's non-conference. We went to San Xavier and played 2 top 10 teams right away last season, and then did the same thing 2 weeks later and played 2 top 10 teams. So we really try to load up the non-conference schedule last year. And just for anyone, I know it's not really relevant anymore, but for anyone that's been following the last couple of years, making the national tournament is a tough process, so you kind of have to beef up the non-conference schedule to make sure you have an at-large. So anyway, we're actually kind of doing the opposite this year. We get 2 bids for our conference now, so we're kind of hoping that'll kind of help us get in that route. And if we need to go the other route, the at-large route, hopefully we can also do that. But I'd say our schedule's a little lighter than it has the last couple of years. So we go to St. Ambrose for a couple games opening weekend, which will be really good for us. Play a couple newer teams, hopefully a good kind of initiation into the season. We host Arizona Christian for a couple games the next weekend, and then kind of cap it off, we'll go to Indiana Tech and play 2 teams that have been ranked and gone to nationals the last couple of years from the WAC, Indiana Tech and Lawrence Tech. So 2 really good non-conference foes, the last part of our non-conference before we get into the conference.
Yeah, and in the conference, it's going to be a grind.
It's brutal. We added 4 new teams. So we're at 14 teams, which is basically a mega conference. Yep. Split it up into North and South. We'll get the South once, the North twice. But it's going to be a grind. I mean, it's going to be really, really difficult. Anytime you're playing a combination of Grandview Park, Missouri Baptist, Missouri Valley, Mount Mercy, all in a short amount of time, it's going to be tough. I'm just thinking right now, I don't know the stat, but I think there's been a Heart of America team, at least in the semis of the national championship, for like 6 or 7 straight years.
Oh, I don't doubt
between,
it, yeah.
between us, Park, and Grandview, and so yeah, it's
Missouri Baptist. In
yeah,
there too,
right, yeah. So really, you're always going to play someone that's pretty high level. Yep. I wish I could say what I knew the conference is going to look like, because obviously we're going to look very different. Other teams look very different. I just know it's going to be tough. So I'm hoping our guys, having seen it the last couple of years, understand that part before we get into it. But yeah, I definitely expect some bumps along the way and some tough games. I mean, playing on the road is just brutal. We've seen that the last couple of years. We've been fortunate to play well at home. But yeah, so we expect a challenge as we get into the heart of the season, and we'll just kind of see what team shows up.
For sure. I mean, that segues into my last question. You already kind of answered it, but what's it going to take for this new team to reach, some expectations, some goals that you guys have set? I know the goals are different this year probably, but what's it going to take to reach those goals?
Yeah, like you said, the goals are different just because it's a different group. The group that had been there the last 5 years, obviously they had some pretty lofty goals as the years had gone on, and checking off wins and things like that. We knew, okay, we can start doing some good things here. This group, we don't know what that looks like yet.
Right.
We don't know because we haven't seen these guys in action as much. So we'll kind of figure that out as we go. But I think for us, how we get there is do a lot of what we've done already, which is be a team first team where we focus on each other a lot. Really just trust the process. I hate that cliche saying, but we did talk about it the other day. Actually, there's some truth to a process, right? Yeah. Processes are real things, and so we need to be good about that. And then really more than anything, we have to kind of go back to, and if anyone's followed us for the last 6 years, we have to go back to our roots in terms of we got to work really hard defensively. We got to be scrappy. We got to be a team that refuses to lose. And I think we were fortunate that we didn't have to necessarily stick to those roots because we were so talented in some ways that we could overpower people or over-talent them or over-athlete them, whatever the case may be. And now we're going to be kind of a little bit different in that way. So I think we'll find our identity as we go. But those are the big things, and our guys know that, and we've been talking about it since day one. And I will say, I'll say this again this year that I said about the last couple of years, but despite it being a new group, it's a hungry group. We have seniors that have been here for 4 years. They've seen other guys kind of carry the load. They want to take that load now. They've seen teams go to nationals. They want to be a team that goes to nationals. They kind of want to put their own stamp on it. So we have older guys that maybe haven't gotten the limelight or the spotlight, if you will, and they want that now. So I do think we'll have a group that'll really kind of fight tooth and nail for some of those things, and I'm really excited to kind of see where it takes us, but like you said, it's a very different group, so we'll kind of see what those expectations are when we get going.
For sure. All right. Once again, like Coach Bentley said, the team will be over at St. Ambrose on the 24th, 25th, for a couple of games to open up the 25 season. So best of luck, Coach. We're excited to see these the new guys out on the court.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thanks.